Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment of the Quickview series. When we Quickview, hey, Canyon guy, what do you think the percentage of Quickviews are that are tires? Yeesh. 75%? Some weeks, it's 100%. As of recent, it's 100%. Oh, you can't read it, can you? Reefs Sabre they called it pink. Apparently they now call it XP, which I don't like that. Single stage, open cell. If you're considering in your future endeavors to get into reviewing, testing, or evaluating things like tires, don't do it. Just don't do it. Whatever insert you pick, should have picked a different one. Well, what would it do if you put X in it? What would you then do if you put Y in it? What would it do if you ran it backwards? What would it do if... Guys, I can't harness infinity and put it in a bag. We test them when we can, with what we have, and basically hope for the best. The foam is something of a medium. I would call it a medium. The cell is a little open, and the cut is a little rough. It kind of has it's got a little ragged edge to it. But they don't feel overdense. They do not overstuff the tire. I have one prior test of a Reefs tire. That was the Crux in gray compound. And when I was perusing through tires, I believe that Reefs has abandoned the gray compound entirely. I didn't see any listing mentioning gray compound. I only saw pink, which is now called XP. Why have I only tested one set of Reefs tires? Because I was so wildly unimpressed with the performance of gray compound. It was lackluster at best, and Reefs, being a boutique, charges boutique prices. And if you are going to charge the price that these tires charge, these are $33 a pair, which is part of the reason that I'm like, you know what? The fitment on a Canyon Custom was close. It felt there was a little bit of pouch on the sides. So I said to myself, nobody cares about consistency. If we make efforts towards consistency and test everything in the exact same fashion, with the exact same insert, under as near as practicable to the same conditions, people will still find something. Someone will find something. So, what I do, we do a little bit of Elsa, we do a little bit of Tay-Tay, and we shake it off. And we're going to run them just like this. They came with these foams. And I don't care what anybody, you can try to make your argument. You can come directly at me. Those are just to keep the tires in shape while they ship them. Yeah, well, then maybe you should go the extreme route and just sell your tires without inserts. While you're at it, why don't you knock $4 or $5 a pair off the price for giving us the luxury of not having included foams? I'll take that trade. If you don't want to give me foams and you want to sell me your tires for $5 less per pair, deal. Shrink wrap them while you're at it. Sell them to me in a package the size of a Ziploc sandwich bag. I don't care. 124? Jeez, it's just over 4 7/8. Wait, let me see. Almost 125. Yeah. That would be... So that's 4 14/16. We're just under 4 15/16. 4 29/32. I know to the metric people that doesn't make any sense. 47 millimeters. We're talking, what do they say, height? 4.75. They're definitely taller than that. They do have a little bit of dome to them from that foam. The foam feels fine. The sidewall feels fine. Do I have any comments on the side lug? I think they're unnecessarily busy. This should be called the Reefs voltage, because this looks like something from an electrical diagram. We are fully symmetrical, asymmetrical. That bell points that way, that bell points that way, that bell points that way, and if we do this, it's the same thing. So, if nothing else, if Reefs Pink doesn't dance the dance, it's fine. Reefs Pink, the Sabre specifically, has already done something helpful, which is they made a non-directional tire. And when I say non-directional, I mean not just a tire that doesn't have an arrow on it that says direction on it, which I will take as an exchange. Canyon Trails, there's a number of tires out there that have a specific directional arrow. What I'm getting at is a tire that you can't tell me to run backwards. So if you're just going to make a tire that is completely symmetrical, thank you. Thank you for that. Because however it performs running one way, someone is going to ask me to turn around and run it the other way. You know what tires do when they're run opposite of the direction that is perceived as forward? They are all but invariably worse. There are a couple of tires that it doesn't really make a difference. You can kind of tune them to your liking. Ruptures, megalithics, J-Concepts, tusks. There's a number of tires. There are other tires that are, if not explicitly directional, groundhog. That's forward. They don't work that good that way. They get kind of uncertain and they bobble around. Same for tires like Sem Limites, the Fronteras. Canyon Trails are terrible backwards. KLRs don't work very well backwards. These don't have a frontwards or a backwards. So, my hope for this, I managed to meet my expectations. We keep them reasonable. This is a Class 2 test. The tire is under 5 inches, so we're going to test it on the Class 2 protocol. Conditions are, if not true optimal, pretty close. It might be a couple degrees above optimal temperature, but it should be fine. And I just want, my expectation is for pink to be better than gray, because the gray was absolutely meh. And when we see a new tire out on the rocks, and by new, I mean new, right? Like, they've only made a handful of tires. When I see a new one, you got to do something, right? If we take X2SS, if we take J-Concepts Green, if we take Vanquish Red or Vex Red, if we take a compound out there, we have some idea of what to expect. This is the Canyon's first test of J-Concepts, of Reefs XP, formerly pink, still pink, but now called XP, whatever. It's tall, it's symmetrical, it just needs to do the things. And we hope for the best, and honestly, and we kind of expect the worst. So, prove us all, show me why you're $33 a pair. Ladies and gentlemen, 80, 26, 65. However many Celsius's 80 degrees Fahrenheit is. It is not a bowl. It is positively muggy out here this morning. Reefs Sabre, XP Pink, whatever you like to call it. We're going to get some little squeaks and howls. These are tall. So far, the single stage looks aight. Comparison, not performing active comparison the whole time it's happening is impossible. We're looking at other tires mentally. There's a lot of energy return out of this foam. I think you would already be better served with another foam. So I'm not sure this is even maximum forward drive. There's quite a bit of chatter hop. So the pink is already doing better than the gray. The fact that they mount out to bigger than 475 is, you know, maybe intentional. Goes by the sidewall marking. And you could mount them to 475. I'm going to want to see them more in a situation of, like, how do they do in terms of maneuverability? It's a high 9.5, low 9.6. So if we're going to do that kind of rounding, they are fairly imprecise in some maneuvers, but we're probably still in the phase of tire insert getting to know each other. It's just some little cutaways. There we go. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna say, yeah, it's a 9.6. It's a solid 9.6. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. A little, perhaps the lug height, a little imprecise. And while I'm no fan nor adherent to the dictations of ruling bodies, like, does Sorka still care about voided lugs? Is that still a thing? That's pretty good. That's 9.6, border 9.7. So we're high 9.6. You got to be able to push it back. Nope. Just watching Spirit of the Forest over there. Do we have enough grip to get straight over? Nope. Solid. I'll admit, I mean, it's a fairly easy admission, I am critical, not specifically of Reefs, I'm critical of any tire charging $33 a pair. It's just the way it's going to be. And then somebody says, well, the other ones are 31 or 29. Yeah. And it is 1,000 small deaths. It is that if you start saying, oh, well, you know, it's only $2 difference, it's only $4 difference, they're only $5 more, do you see what's happened? I think tires of this size should be about $25 a pair across the board. Yeah, so I think having an expectation, because we've tested tires that are 24 a pair, 25 a pair, 27 a pair. If your tires are $6 more a pair, my expectations are going to be $6 more a pair. I'm going to go with a 96. It looked great up across that front cut. It didn't do everything that I wanted it to do. And this is a pure rock crawling tire. So my expectations are pure rock crawling stuff. You're up directly against tires whose jobs are pure rock crawling. The appearance of this tire being, I mean, let's look at the electrical symbol on the sidewall. This is Reefs megalithic-ish tire. I know it doesn't contribute to viewer engagement or anything positive, but if I'm spending the money, I'm buying a megalithic before I'm buying this. I can't see an environment where this tire is going to provide a significant statistical advantage. Like it gets, yeah, we're single stage, sure. When it goes, it's gone. 9.4. Side hilling just does not look very good. Insert will tame that. But there are tires that will do it without the insert having to tame it. If the Canyon Custom fit a little more snug inside the tire, we might see a different result. Or we might not, I don't know. So then you say, rightfully, what's the problem? You know, I saw that exact progression. I was like, a 9.7 will just take this lip, no hesitation. And I was like, this is gonna hesitate and then clear. Well, if we get a little more, yeah. Is it lug spacing? In terms of the 3 C's, compound, carcass, and composition, I think the carcass and the compound, pretty good. It's a thin sidewall, it's a thin belt. The pink XP compound is definitely better than the gray. I think that the lug, I think composition is where we have an issue. I don't think this lug pattern is not doing anything. If we had the ability to magically chess piece move around the lugs, reorient the lugs, I think we would see something different. The complete lack of chevron works sometimes. It does not work all the time. So we have a tire here that is not overwhelmingly geared towards forward drive. That lug is not one of just pure specific forward drive. It's got more of that omnidirectional grip feel to it. I'm not opposed to that. Most of the hieroglyphic tires, and I would think that these almost classify in that group of hieroglyphic tires, it just doesn't quite get there. You know? The upgrade Rock Claw, the megalithic. Competition in this segment is stiff. So in my experience, in my estimation, a tire needs to do something to separate itself. It needs to stand out against other tires. The height is not, that little bit of height, it's not really revealing itself to be super helpful. There's going to be arguments made. Someone is going to say it needs more weight. Someone's going to say it needs less weight. Someone's going to say it needs this insert or that insert or this to be done to it, or I do this and here's where I drive it. And I want you to understand that what you're doing is you're just introducing variable upon variable upon variable upon variable upon variable. I can go into infinity. Every time you change a single component, every time you change, if you drive it at a different line of latitude, it's variables. So what I am trying to do is the canyon flavor of pseudoscience, which is we make every effort to standardize the protocol and the conditions. We do our very best. I get out here quite early in the morning to do our very best. And by testing it on the same vehicle, under the same conditions, we hope to get an idea of the capabilities. Would it do better on a lighter vehicle? Not on these foams. Would it do better on a heavier vehicle? Slightly heavier. Slightly. Here's the real stab. Here's the cut the deepest. When I buy a set of tires, and I have bought so many. Protocol is over 170 sets at this point. When I buy a set of tires and I put them on here, there's always the hope. There's always that hope that that tire is going to find a place directly in the fleet, and we're going to be like, the marketplace is the better for having a tire that is good at doing tire things. And then you have what happens 85% of the time. 90. Which is, this tire might be better at some aspect. And when I say this tire, we're speaking generically. This tire might be better than some other at some aspect of performance. Like, let's say it's wet. Let's say it has more forward drive. Let's say it has more accuracy in terms of being receptive to steering input. So as I'm driving a tire, all I want to see are the good things. I want to see, what do you do to make you individual? They got 2 out of the 3 C's correct. I don't think the lug, nor the size of the lug, nor the layout of the lug is particularly helpful. It's just oscillating back and forth between a 96 and a 95 in terms of where it lands. Like it's not rolling a full Dutch 200, but it's kind of going back and forth between the two. And at $33 a pair, your competition is so stiff. I mean, what it's going to come down to is why the Reefs Sabre specifically. So let's rightfully assume that there's no such thing as the impossible. Somewhere, there's someone that has a rig fitted with this tire, and in their estimation, it is the best one for that build. Like, they wouldn't change it out for something else. I'm on board. I have a number of builds that have their forever tire, often right up until the point that they don't, where we test something else and go, oh, this is every bit as good, or this is actually in this aspect slightly better. But I can't discount it. There's every possibility that somewhere someone has a rig with Sabres on it and they're like, these are the knees of the bees. These are not the jelly, these are the jam. And it's entirely possible. This is a tire that, if it cost $24 a pair, if they were $9 cheaper a pair, with that foam, I would be, they wouldn't score any different, but I would sound less critical of them. That's just a financial reality. I think they got the compound and they got the carcass correct. They agree with each other. The bump is, there's just too much energy return from the foam on the bounce, and because of that insert being single stage, it's got a lot of pop, and because of no directionality, it's not super predictable where it's going to land. Now, I anticipated the side leg being. Woo! Everybody's got a jam. Everybody's got the thing that they do. Oh my gracious. That electrical diagram on there, like, I would give it that's a solid, like, okay, let me hit a catch. Yeah, we're talking like a solid 9.7 on that whip about. Guys, I mean, what's the 411 for realsies? That's a spinal tap on the Cyclone. That's one of the best forward throttle self-rights I've ever seen. And as someone pointed out in a comment somewhat recently, they think that the self-right portion kind of overwhelms a score and can make a truly terrible tire look better than it is, or can bring down a tire that looks pretty good. Two gnats flew in my mouth simultaneously, and I can't argue that, really. I think it's probably true, because this thing would be getting like a 9.9 self-right. Luckily for us, wet is going to influence this final score, but this thing's final score is all but in the books already. Couldn't figure out why the rig wasn't moving, and when I was carrying everything, I hit the radio, hit the transmitter with my leg and turned it off. And I was like, is the battery dead? And I'm like power cycling it, and I took the body off. Nothing is perfect. We're surrounded by imperfection. Right? Some of the greatest. A smog-fueled sunset is beautiful. It's truly beautiful. All the colors of the wind up there in the sky, and how's that brought about? Pollution. So sometimes imperfection brings with us great, the diamonds with impurities are the colored ones and the ones that look the best. So sometimes imperfection is in our favor, I'm not saying that the test protocol is perfect. I wish, and I mean this truly, I wish that every tire could be tested on the foam that it comes with. But manufacturers have seen fit to give us the entire Mohs hardness scale, which, yes, I recognize is for minerals. But we have the foam equivalents of talc and diamonds. I'm looking at you, RC four-wheel drive, and everything in between. There is a foam that when you unpackage the tire, you immediately say to yourself, well, that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. These are going to get a score that is not bad. It will not be bad. Unless these are absolutely rotten on the wet rock that we're going to hit in about 90 seconds, which I seriously doubt. These will land solidly right where they land. And my tone of them has perhaps been what could be interpreted as overly critical for a tire that's going to get the score that these are going to get. That's fine. That's fine. I keep looking for the thing. I think we already found it. I mean, it's self-writing. It's crazy. It's crazy. but not Reefs specifically, but as an industry trend. $33 for a pair of tires of this size is too much. We want everything to be great. These are not going to score badly. They're going to land right amongst contemporaries. Tires of similar cost and similar performance. At $33 a pair, I'm going to keep harping, I have expectations. I have expectations that I do not think are unwarranted. Because take into account, if you will, that tusks from J Concepts, as of this recording, are still $24.75 a pair. $50 for a set of 4. And if it's tusks versus these, with a cost differential of $16 a set, it's going to be tusks. At the end of this day, at the end of every day, if someone was to offer the phrase, which is often given as a balm as a poultice for your burn, someone might say, "Hey man, 2 out of 3 ain't bad." The pink is inarguably better than the gray. They got a carcass that suits that compound. I just don't think that this lug pattern, outside of a self-righting environment, is doing this tire any favors. Because with that, the Reefs Sabre earns itself an aggregate score of 96.5, which puts it somewhere around a tie, a virtual tie, sharing with 5 or 6 other tires in 22nd place on the leaderboard, with the 1.9 G8 Bogger, the J Concept Scorpio, the Rhino Moza, the Class 1 S5 Endura Kraken Claw, right above the Proline BFG Crawler TA and the Louise Champ CR, just below the J Concept Hunk and the Proline Aztec and the RC 4-wheel drive Scrambler. Now, mind you, there's around high 40s number of tires that are above that just because of all the ties. I want to say that right here in the same category is the G-Made 1905 is just below this. And yeah, I would put this overall performance-wise, there was a lot of feel of the G-Made 1905. You know what they both are? They're not bad. This is not a bad tire. The problem then becomes, congratulations, you got 22nd place. And we're talking about boutique makers that don't offer that many tires. They have 3 or 4 models. Look at Upgrade RC with their 2 models of tire. The Rock Claw and the Razor Wire. The Rock Claw got a 98, and the Razor Wire got a 98.5. That is 8th place and 5th place, respectively. And up till just a few days prior to this recording, they were the same price as these. They've now dropped their prices. They're now $29 a pair. And I have run them on their included foams. So we swing all the way back around to where competition is stiff, and there has to be a reason for you to choose that tire. And if you're going to pick the Sabre, the only reason I could think is that you're picking it because it says Reefs on the sidewall. And in this instance, that's not enough. 96.5 is above halfway in terms of scoring, certainly. But can you do better for the same money? Unquestionably. Can you do better for less money? Absolutely. Is there a reason to choose the Reefs Sabre over something else? Not that I can think of. If they opt for an upgrade RC approach where they drop the price of the tire down to, say, Louise territory, $27.99 a pair, okay. Now, maybe a little more worthy of consideration. Maybe you need something that has a little bit more tire height, is listed as a 4.75, but is really a, well, what did we say it was, 4 and 29, 30 seconds? Maybe just a little extra bit of height. As it stands now, it is a tire lost amongst a sea of other tires that are about the same capability for the same money or less. So, take it as you will. As always, any questions, comments, and concerns are welcomed in the comments section below. Thank you so much for joining us here in the canyon. It's another one of those. Every time I test $66 worth of tires, y'all better be good. Not just good. Y'all better be really good. And then when I go, we are where we are. It is what it is. Thanks so much, everybody. Baseline had an okay day. I had an okay day. I hope you have an okay day. We'll see you here in the canyon next time. Hopefully, if nothing else, hopefully it's cooler.